Disclaimer: the following program features language not suitable for all audiences, and the expressed opinions found within this program are a reflection of those who feature on the PopCulture Effect podcast. Welcome to the PopCulture Effect. I'm Rockin Rob, and on this show, I bring my closest friends together to talk about all the news happening in our pop culture world around us.
Welcome to the PopCulture Effect. My name is Gemini, and today I'm joined by two of my greatest friends. We've got Tyler over in that corner.
Hello.
And we've got Rockin Rob in the other.
I'm in my gremlin corner.
Oh, that's... Get out of my f***ing corner, you idiot!
Okay, I'm sorry. It's been so lonely these past few weeks. Okay,
Leave the corner for 5 minutes to start this damn shit, and you take my spot.
You say it's lonely, but to everybody else, we've still been here.
Yeah, I know, but I had to drag and Trent in here to talk about the horrible Lilo and Stitch movie. It's been lonely, okay?
Yeah, you did have to drag me, bitch.
I saw the, I know you guys talked about it, but I saw the trailer for that yesterday, and when she points to Stitch, when she's trying to tell her that she's got a dog, she points past the chair that he's sitting in and points to the ground.
Yeah.
You gotta love the live-action movies
child actors that shouldn't be actors.
She's trying. She's trying. She's a child.
You can't point at a puppet?
And you can't have adults play the part of children?
Let's not get into that.
Yeah, that's a conversation. That's a can of worms
I already have a mess. Yeah, I already have a lot of opinions about Hollywood and their actors in Hollywood and casting direction. Anyway...
Now, there's a few things I'm really excited to talk about this week, but first I want to get the big one out of the way, and that's the fact that we're getting a Pee Wee Herman documentary. Now, this is titled Pee Wee as Himself, and this is going to be a 2-part documentary coming to Max with a look at the actor behind the scenes. Now, from my perspective, I was more of a Bear in the Big Blue House and Wiggles fan, as I was much too young to get a look at the popularity that Pee Wee Herman had in the 80s, but from what I do know, Paul Rubin was best known for his character acting, mainly that of Pee Wee Herman, who took the world by storm, and with him cultivating a fan base of children across the US, and culminating in his big film debut, Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, back in 1985. And with his kid-friendly presentation, entertaining and educating kids for generations, it's really interesting that this documentary will finally lift the veil and show Paul for how he is, warts and all, from the drug use to that questionable period of time in 1991 when he was arrested at a theater for, well, I'm just gonna say he had a bit too much fun by himself. But to look at more of the positives, I am very excited for this, because a lot of the time, actors of all different types and mediums kinda like to stay behind the character veil, whereas some other characters like to be known as themselves, rather than being typecast as a single role, with some people obviously appreciating the love that the fans give the characters, and some others that are clearly miffed that they are kind of pigeonholed as this one character. But this is something entirely different, as Paul Rubin, somebody who was playing Pee Wee Herman for a long time, is finally dropping the character and showing himself as openly and transparently as he can legally get away with under his Max overlords. Now, I'm sure there's going to be copious amounts of drug stories, very heartwarming moments, very heartbreaking moments, and the obligatory part 1 cliffhanger that will embolden people to want to check out the second part. And speaking of which, I'm kind of a little miffed that this is in 2 parts, but thankfully they are going to be both available on May 23rd, so you could just kind of binge watch both of them back to back. But yeah, when it comes to Pee Wee Herman, he is a pop culture icon, and any opportunity that I get to look beyond the veil of a character, I will take, because I am somebody who, yes, I love the visual interpretation of a character on screen, but I can also appreciate the hard work and dedication that it takes for the actor themselves. Now, it's one thing for, say, the run-of-the-mill generational Superman actor, or the next person to play Spider-Man, but Pee Wee Herman isn't a role or isn't a title that is passed down. It's him. him. It is who he was for the better part of the 80s leading into the 90s. He was Pee Wee Herman, and this will be the first opportunity we'll get to meet Paul Rubin and get to learn his story as in-depth as I hope we can. Because you know how it is with these run-of-the-mill documentaries. They fluff them out. They don't really ask the hard-hitting questions. But you never know with this one, you know? This could be one that really dives deep into the real world of Paul Rubin. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to discuss when it comes to Pee-wee as himself. And this will be a really cool 2-part documentary to check out when it comes out on May 23rd. But at this point, I think it's time to send it back to me and Gemini as we discuss the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal.
But swinging over from a secret reveal to a big open reveal. What happened for the Nintendo Direct, Bobbert?
Oh boy, did they reveal it. Oh boy, did they. So, Nintendo, they finally had their Nintendo Direct showcasing their Switch 2. Finally we see what Nintendo has been cooking for. And to cut to the chase, because I'm gonna be honest, this is going to be quite an interesting set of circumstances, because I want to split this up into 2 sections. The first section I'm going to go into is the console itself to talk about the first thing I want to talk about is the games that are going to be on this thing, and then I want to talk about the console itself, because the console is a very big conversation piece, but the games are even more of an interesting thing to talk about. And
either way, I think they burnt the pot roast.
They definitely did. So actually, you know what? I'm gonna be like Willy Wonka. I'm gonna flip it, reverse it, because I feel like it would just be better to talk about the console first. I'm going crazy here because it's not a fun time. So they're like, hey, this Switch, they showcased it. It's got a bigger screen, and the docked version can give you 1080 resolution. That's great. That's a good step in the right direction. 120 frames per second. Awesome. Cool. When it's docked, you can have a resolution of 4K. That's wonderful. That's what we've expected. And then they showcase the controller, and you notice there's a little C button. I wonder what that C button does. They have added in game chat to a Nintendo Switch without controllers with headsets available on launch. Yeah. So, they showcased it, and boy were they transparent, and the audio quality, they showcased it like it's gonna be good, like you're gonna be able to hear each other and talk, even if a blender is going on in the background, and there's no way that's true. There's no way that's practical. Like, it's gonna sound bad. They're gonna have to put in the controller adapter, because they do have a new Pro Controller with an aux port, so that means they're gonna put out a Nintendo Switch, or a Nintendo-based headset eventually, I hope. I swear to God, if that's not what it is, I'm gonna be upset. But the other thing they put out for this console is, also for the Switch, it has a 6-hour lifespan when it's undocked. So that's great, awesome. And it's got 2 USB-C ports, so now you can plug it in at the top or the bottom, so you can like easily stand it and charge it, and it's a lot more accessible.
I never had a basic Switch, so
yeah, you lucked out. So they now have a camera. They put in an Xbox. They pulled an Xbox Connect, and they have a camera where you can actually I shouldn't even say Xbox Connect, because that's the wrong comparison. They put in Discord, because now you could just show off your face in the middle of games, and it's oh boy, is it not fun. It looks really bad, and it's all of this feels like something that would be competing with the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, like tech-wise, like visually-wise, it's going to be competing with the current day consoles. But like tech-wise, it is still a little bit far behind. And to illustrate my point in that, they also have, like with the whole Discord game chatting thing, you could also share your screen. And when they did that in the presentation, it was like 3 frames per second. It was so laggy. It was so awful. I don't even understand how they thought it was a good idea to showcase that. It was like they were like, shit, we have to show them. It's like they were at a point where they were like, shit, we have to show something. Like, what do we do? And now it's like, well, don't get me wrong. This is a console that is going to benefit the Nintendo fan, the family. It's going to be what they've always been, the home console where you go to for quality games, but at a price point of $450.
$450?
Yeah, so at a price point of $450, I don't think it's worth it, because that's like right up with PlayStation 5 pricing.
I was gonna say, I haven't bought a console since I got my dinosaur brick sitting next to me of my OG Xbox One. So like, I don't know what consoles go for nowadays, but that seems a little steep for a baby bitch boy Nintendo console. I'm sorry, but I'm not a big Nintendo gamer, so that seems a little steep.
It is. And everybody has kind of had the same unanimous opinion, because they've done something to kind of like take one aspect of the game section that I'll be talking about later on. They've announced a bundle with Mario Kart World, which is $500. So that's $450 for the console and $50 for the game.
Dude, that's double the original Switch.
Yep. Oh, but the best part is
$199 in 2017 when it first launched.
But you see, Gemini, you get a $30 discount on Mario Kart World. You get, because base price, it's $80 US for the digital, $90 for the physical. Yeah. Which means for Canada, baby, that's $90 digital and potentially $100 US. Or sorry, for the physical.
That's disgusting. Because I have a friend who he has a Switch. He's a Nintendo gamer, and he is also old school. I say old school, but in nowadays with digital copies being more prevalent and not a lot of physical copies being made, he prefers getting the physical copy of games. So like when we go to his place, you see like he has this collection proudly like neatly arranged of physical copy of his games, because he's not a big fan of getting the digital copies, which honestly is completely fair, because you never know with digital copies if you'll still have it in 20 years or not. At least with the physical, he'll have it for the rest of his life, so long as he keeps it in good condition, which he does. So like that, I can already, I think he had, like I've heard him talk about that already. That's evil.
Oh, but it gets better. Because okay, so just going back to the game chat thing, you need the online subscription to even use it. So they're baking in features to the console itself that require a paid membership to use.
Blech. At least with the Kinect, you didn't have to have an Xbox Live membership.
Yep, it is just very gross. Like, I have been the one for like 6 months to a year now on this show, been saying to my heart's content, they need to reveal the Switch 2, they have to do something, they have to pull out their A game. And yeah, sure, the games are going to be beautiful, and I'll get to that later on. It's going to be quite a wonderful conversation. It's going to be lengthy too, but it
sounds like they fumbled the pass.
Oh, I can't wait. But when you discuss the fact that they are that this is their console to compete with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, the games are going to look pretty, because Nintendo always makes pretty games. Their first-party games are always beautiful, and their third-party games look good too, but they always lag behind. They've lagged behind since the original Switch, and when they fumbled the ball with the Wii U and put them even further behind, we essentially went from the GameCube to the Wii to the Switch, because the Wii U was just such a collapse in progression that they had to redesign the Wii U and essentially reset themselves for a whole console generation.
And even the Wii kind of set them behind a little bit, because like some games don't work that well with motion controls, or the motion controls weren't implemented well.
Okay, that's the one thing that I will say. It appears that how the controllers are set up, the motion controls are as good as the Switch, if not better. Mostly.
That's good, but I was talking about the Wii, like back in the day.
Yeah, like it's been a huge improvement for the Wii.
Bit.
I remember back in the day with the Wii, it was okay, but you always needed that power bar to.
Oh yeah, if it got moved even just like a bit. You had to get back up.
If it was angled at the sun in a bad way, then it's like, can't work, can't see what you're doing.
Yeah, so like that was a pain. I remember that. Like, God forbid you lose that thing, because it was like a thin little thing. You were
But that's the one thing I can say for the Switch 2. Like, they've updated the motion controls for the Joy-Cons, and you can actually use them as like mouses. So like you can like put it on the magnet side, and you're able to it's a weird feature. It's a really weird feature that they're just throwing in because, you know, it means they can it's not going to be as good as like a PC mouse. Like, I can tell you right now, like,
yeah,
it's
that's
not
almost
give that level of
impossible to
dexterity.
replicate.
But
I was gonna say, I don't really know how well or poorly the Switch motion controls were because I never owned a regular Switch. I was gifted a Switch Lite, which was like their, you know, portable diet version. And I remember that one it attempted to do motion controls, but like it was one brick of plastic, so you had to like pivot yourself to do the motion controls, and it was kind of awkward. So I just turned the motion controls off on that damn thing. Like playing Breath of the Wild and doing like the bow and arrow shit, and then like the first time it happened, I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, that's the one thing I hope that they do, is that they allow you for it to be optional. Like, I hope you could just turn on. I hope they don't force it for like certain games or certain ways of communicating with the console. I hope they have an option to toggle it, because I feel like a lot of people that play this console are just going to buy the Pro Controller and then hope that they put out a headset. How did they not? How in the Direct where you're showcasing your console, how do you not showcase a headset? Because like that's pretty much the way to catch it. Like if it's out of the console, how is it out of the console? I'm sorry, I'm getting too attached to it's so frustrating.
My concern with a lot of these new features is less about the performance and quality of them and venturing into a more safety aspect, because Nintendo, as we know, there's two main people that it is marketed to: adults who are stuck in their nostalgia and their member berry baths, and kids. I am very concerned for a lot of these features, such as you said, this like screen sharing aspect, or like the Discord portion sharing your in the camera. That heavily concerns me with a safety aspect for children and minors, because as I just stated, Nintendo sales are mostly marketed, and not even they're intentionally marketed for children, which is fine. Nintendo has always proudly worn its crown of being a family-friendly company of like family-friendly games. That's completely fine. But it's not just families and kids that flock to this. It's like adults that, you know, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Adults who have known Nintendo since they were children. There's nothing wrong with that aspect. But it's when these two instances of like communities merge and they overlap, because then you start running into security and safety risks for both parties, mostly children, and that's my biggest concern.
What they need to implement. Sorry. Let me let you finish.
Well, no, because it probably did tie in. Like, I feel like definitely what they should have. I'm pretty sure. I would hope that they already do have parental controls for this console. I'm assuming the Switch did too, because I know like Xbox and PlayStation I know Xbox does. Like, they have parental controls, and I know like to an extent there's only so much you can do to like police your children with that. And it does boil down to the responsibility of the parent. Overall, I've always been a big like a big advocator of like, you need to, if you're allowing your children to be on an online space, you have to helicopter them. Like, helicopter parenting is never good, but when they're on an unsafe platform such as the internet, whether that is a computer or a game console, you have to be there and up their ass about it, because they can and will, whether fully by accident or intentionally, stumble across unsafe places and unsafe people. It's just the nature of the internet. And that's my biggest concern about this new camera feature and these like Discord implementations, because Discord in itself is unsafe. It's unsafe for children, and that's my biggest concern with the fact of Nintendo being a very family-friendly centered company of like games.
I would even go back and say I've seen the meme that where it's like what Nintendo expects to happen, and it's like it's like a very peaceful like game where people are having fun and talking, and then it would go to what reality is, and it would be obscenity filled, and it would be awful for a kid to be experiencing, especially with the camera. The camera is the one thing where I'm like,
Yeah, because here's a perfect example, because I'm sure you have dealt with this as being a Call of Duty player probably your whole life. How many times as a kid did you get into a lobby and you heard some 40-year-old dude named like John in your party, or like in your Call of Duty lobby when you were younger? Exactly. It's going to be an instance of that. If this is because essentially it's like what they're enhancing the online features a lot, correct?
Pretty much. Yeah, they are it looks like the online is looking to be a lot better. Like, obviously, with them implementing both voice and video chat, it's going to be a lot, there's going to be even more resources put towards making sure the latency is good, making sure the connection is good. So maybe that's a positive point to the Switch actually getting better. Because the one thing that Nintendo has never been able to get down, properly is netcode. And, having multiplayer interface between Switches. They've tried it. It's always been laggy, and it sometimes went good, but yeah, it's just...
But the video chatting thing is very scary and concerning, because dude, if there was video chatting when you were 14 playing Call of Duty, I would be
dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't get it.
Dude, back in 2012 of Omegle, that shit, that was terrifying.
I get from Nintendo's point of view, and also, yeah, I 100% agree with you about the... Oh, wait, hold on, I'm getting invaded by Papa. What's up, buddy? There we go.
Someone forgot to put their "I'm recording" sign up.
That is, you know what? That's true. I did. I forgot to put the sign up. That's on me, baby. Anyways,
Papa breakover.
Yeah, right. I gotta love that Papa, man. Where were we?
We were talking about how shit's unsafe and it's concerning.
Oh, yeah. So I 100% agree with you about the Omegle thing. It is dangerous. But I also understand from a corporate aspect from Nintendo, because they have always been the family-friendly, family values console. They've always tried to implement aspects that would benefit the player experience. And being able to video chat with your friends, I hope that this video chatting and this voice chatting is restricted to your personal friends that are in a party, and isn't for outgoing multiplayer games. You know what I mean? For Mario Party or Mario Kart. Or
at the very least, there's the option to do so. Overall, say you're an adult and you do that, and you can with Xbox and such and PlayStation, for, on the base, yeah, you can. But then I hope, there are restrictive controls, parental controls, where you can control whether or not your child can interact with everybody or just who's on their personal friends list. I really hope that's the case, because that's going to cause I can already see it, that's going to cause problems.
Well, with the console coming out early June, they still have a little bit of time to address it and properly talk about it. I just hope that they do the right thing, because all it takes is one bad interaction to ruin the reputation of the idea you've brought in for your Switch.
Oh, 100%, because I see the vision that they have, and that seems really nice. Say you have a cousin who lives on the other side of the country. Now you can play you have the Switch. Say you both have Mario Party. You can get on Mario Party together now, and you can video chat and talk with your cousin and everything. Who say they're maybe a couple years around your age, pretty much. A cousin. That's really cool. Or a long distant friend. Say they moved or whatever. That is a good thing for a kid. However, but it's very scary and concerning, because the world and the internet has gotten more and more unsafe as the years go by. It's gotten worse and worse, because you just don't know anymore. And this is coming from someone who isn't even a parent yet, but I see what happens just from an outside perspective of not having children, and it terrifies me. I can't even imagine the fear that actual parents have. Well, so this is just my, I guess, argumentative perspective of it, in a sense, to bring that opposite side of the coin vision, and also because I don't really give a shit about Nintendo and the Switch.
Yeah, I honestly have to agree with you. After the price point and the showcasing of the lackluster features, and it's just it made me decide that I don't want to put my money towards the Switch 2, I would rather pay extra for a Steam Deck, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing, because like ever since the Switch's popularity, a lot of other companies have been trying to make their own variants, and from what I've heard, the Steam Deck actually performs pretty well, and it runs like 90% of Steam games, which are mostly computer games. Yeah, some of them are on console, but like most of them are you can only get on the computer, and this portable variant of it runs about, I'd say, 90% of their library. Maybe even more than that, because I don't have a Steam Deck, but I don't know. I don't think close to $500 for this chunk of plastic is worth it.
No, I agree with you, and that's why I'm not getting it. Now, there was some things we missed out and some new information that came out. First, their micro SD cards will be replaced by micro SD Express, which are quite a bit more expensive, so now hopefully it'll be able to hold a higher capacity or load games faster, because aside from that, I don't see a point why they would make this change. But a good thing that they've kind of announced is that game chat will be restricted to parties, so we won't have to worry about the open chat that we were worried about throughout this episode. Now, before I end this week's episode, there's one other ongoing series I want to talk about, and that's Moro's Indie Cross, because they just put out their episode 2, and I've wanted to talk about this since they aired their first episode, because that went out 2 months before we started this show. Now, this is essentially Subspace Emissary for indie games, but as a movie, series, animation, however you want to call it, it is very impressive. Especially with the fact that the first episode was kind of your typical 15-minute adventure. It did what it needed to do, but this second episode was nearly 50 minutes long, completely blowing that other timer out of the water. Completely blowing that other time limit out of the water. Which is honestly insane for projects like this, because it takes a lot of work. From the character design, to the voice acting, to the animation. These projects can take months to potentially even years. Now, to get into it, I love the characters, whether it's Hollow Knight, Shovel Knight, Cuphead, Madeline, Beheaded, the Drifter, Nico, and Frisk, and some others that I'll get into later. But I love how each and every one of these characters is represented and kind of showcased in this series, because everybody feels faithful to how they would act within their own worlds, especially Shovel Knight, or should I say Devil Artemis, because you know I could recognize that voice from 3 projects away, because you know I could recognize that voice. It was so good to hear him, especially with the fact that they kind of gave him like the most lines, so he pretty much carried the episode. Now, this roster is really nice, and if they add more later on, I'll be happy, but with what they have now, it's honestly great. Everybody has a great kind of relationship with a certain character. Everyone's able to kind of grow and kind of mesh well together, especially in the fight scenes. But to get back to it, the character designs are on point, the voice acting is immaculate, but the designs of the enemies are what I want to get into right now, because they are the more original aspects of this story, and they have an interesting mix between a mechanical body and kind of fluid motions. And I bet that was kind of the most task-heavy assignment when it came to animating this whole thing. But getting back to the animation, each and every one of these animated fights was great. Whether it was Cuphead and Shovel Knight taking on one of the mechanical beasts, or whether it was Beheaded and the Drifter being literally the best duo of this entire franchise moving forward. Or my personal favorite through line throughout the episode, Frisk going to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. And this scene I just want to take a little bit to talk about, because honestly, if there was any indie villain character that would kind of need the power boost to kind of match up with all the video game inspired people, you know, it was the dead guy in a rabbit suit who is he's just a dead guy in a suit with no powers, no abilities. But man, when Springtrap showed up, first of all, the way his powers evolved as he gained the evil essence was just crazy. Like, that whole chase scene, that whole segment of animation was just unbelievable, and genuinely is kind of the peak for me right now until the 3rd episode comes out. But I don't want to give out too much, because I do want all of you to go check this out, as it is a great love letter to both indie games and the fans of Subspace Emissary from Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Now, the one thing I will say is you should definitely turn on subtitles, because it just makes the episode that much better. Like, genuinely. It was really funny. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what else this has to offer. I'm sure they'll throw in plenty of other characters. I'm sure we'll see Isaac from Binding of Isaac. I mean, hell, in one of the cutaway gags for Cuphead, we saw him interact with other indie creations, mainly Hello Neighbor and Henry Stickmin. When I saw Henry Stickmin, I about shit myself. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to discuss when it comes to Indie Cross Episode 2. I kind of want to leave a little bit for you guys to enjoy when it comes to the episode in full, as it's literally an hour long, and I don't know where else you're gonna find something of this high quality. And I just want to say I love all the effort that the team at Moro is putting into this, and honestly I just think it's a shame that their Indie Cross game never ended up materializing. But oh well, at least we get this to enjoy and to watch, because god, I hope there's so many more episodes. I hope they have like just so many episodes planned, like beyond the usual 12, you know? But that's pretty much everything I have to discuss when it comes to Indie Cross Episode 2, and yeah, this was just beautiful. This was insane. This was exactly the type of content I love to kind of participate in and to kind of view and be a fan of. And I'm just excited to see what else they do, because there's some certain elements that they're including in this second episode. There are certain story beats that they're implementing, and I am just so excited for it. But at this point, I think it's time for me to send it back to me and Gemini to end this week's episode. Anyways, that's, like I said, that's pretty much everything we have to discuss for this week and all other subsequent weeks that this session is attached to, because holy shit, we went for 2 whole hours. That's crazy. Thank you so much, Menace, for joining me.
Oh yeah, always a fun time.
A pleasure as always.
And now it's time to... Whoa, I almost did my corner outro. Whoa.
Don't forget the plug.
Yeah, I forgot all about the plug. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're checking us out on the CJSW network, make sure to check out all the other lovely programming they have to offer. And that's it for us this week, so we will see you in the next one. Farewell.
Bye-bye.